Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the heart of complex topics, extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight just for you. Today, we're navigating a really new frontier of scientific discovery, one shaped fundamentally by transformative technologies like artificial intelligence. It's
Mhm.
pretty clear that breakthroughs here aren't just small steps. They really have the power to reshape the global balance of power, spark whole new industries, and, fundamentally revolutionize how we live and work. Our mission today to unpack America's AI Action Plan. It's a July 2025 document, provocatively titled Winning the Race. This plan, shared by the 45th and 47th President Donald J. Trump, lays out exactly how the United States intends to achieve and maintain, and I quote, unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance in AI.
And what's really striking is the sheer ambition. The grand vision laid out is not just about tech leadership. It actually claims that winning this AI race will usher in, quote, a new golden age of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. And it's not just one revolution, it's like three happening at once. They talk about an industrial revolution. Think completely new materials, chemicals, drugs, new ways to harness energy. At the same time, an information revolution. Radically new education, media, communication, and maybe the most inspiring part, a renaissance. The plan literally mentions unraveling ancient scrolls, making huge scientific breakthroughs, creating entirely new art forms, all of it together. It's painted as, well, the opportunity of our time, really.
Wow. An industrial revolution and a renaissance all at once.
Yeah.
That's quite a vision. Okay, let's unpack this plan then. It seems to be built on three core principles that kind of set the tone for everything else. First, American workers are central. AI should complement work, not replace it. Second, AI systems need to be objective, free from ideological bias, pursuing truth over, social engineering. And third, there's this constant theme of vigilance, preventing misuse or theft of advanced tech and watching out for unforeseen risks.
Right. So with those ideas in mind, let's dive into the first big pillar, accelerating AI innovation. When they talk about accelerating innovation, what's the driving philosophy here? What's the core idea?
The core idea isn't just building powerful AI itself, but how it gets built. It's about fostering a private sector-led approach. The goal is for America to not only create the most powerful AI systems globally, but also be the best at using them across every sector. It's really about enabling that innovation to flourish from the ground up. Okay, and one of the first big action areas under this pillar is removing red tape, what the plan calls onerous regulation. Okay, it specifically mentions President Trump rescinding Biden's Executive Order 14110 on AI, describing it as foreshadowing an overly restrictive regime. The belief seems to be that AI is, quote, far too important to smother in bureaucracy at this early stage. So what specific actions are we talking about?
Yeah, this really leans into that whole permissionless innovation idea for AI. They propose launching a request for information, an RFI, asking businesses and the public directly what federal regulations are actually hindering AI innovation right now. It also directs the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, to work with agencies to, pinpoint, revise, or just repeal regulations that don't align with Executive Order 14192, unleashing prosperity through deregulation. And here's something interesting. Federal funding for AI might even consider a state's own AI regulatory climate. Plus, the FCC will look into whether state AI rules interfere with its obligations. It even mentions reviewing past FTC investigations to make sure they aren't, unduly burdening AI innovation. It's a very clear signal for a light touch approach.
Right. Beyond just the mechanics of regulation, the plan shifts to something more foundational, the principles guiding AI's development, especially around free speech and objectivity. Given how much AI will be part of our lives, education, media, it makes sense why these would be seen as essential. What specific policy changes are laid out to protect these values in frontier AI?
This gets really interesting thinking about how models are trained and the values they reflect. The plan outlines some very specific actions. NIST, that's the National Institute of Standards and Technology, setting the technical guidelines, is directed to revise its AI risk management framework. Specifically, they'll remove references to concepts like misinformation, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and climate change. Also, federal procurement guidelines will be updated. The government will only contract with frontier LM developers who guarantee their systems are, quote, objective and free from top-down ideological bias. And this Center for AI Standards, CASI, will even evaluate China's frontier models for alignment with Chinese Communist Party talking points and censorship. It's a definite move to embed specific values.
Okay, let's turn to open source and open weight AI. For anyone not familiar, what's the big deal? Why are these models important?
Well, open source and open weight models are basically freely available. Anyone can look at the code, use it, even modify it. The value is huge for innovation, especially for startups. It gives them flexibility without being locked into one big company's closed system. Plus, for businesses or governments with sensitive data, they can run these models locally, without sending data out. And for academics, it's critical. You need access to the weights and data for real scientific work. The plan also mentions their geostrategic value, which kind of implies bolstering national capabilities through an open ecosystem.
So if they're that valuable, how does the government actually plan to support this open approach? What are the actions?
They talk about improving the market for large-scale compute power. Right now, it's often tied up in long-term contracts. The plan draws a parallel to commodity markets, suggesting collaboration with industry, NIST, OSTP, and NSF's NARAR pilot to create a more flexible market for compute time. Other actions include giving researchers better access to private sector compute and data, building out that NARE resource, publishing a new national AI R&D strategic plan, and pushing adoption by small and medium businesses. It's fundamentally about making sure the building blocks, compute and data, are more widely available.
The plan also flags a bottleneck, not in AI availability, but in how slowly it's being adopted, particularly in critical areas like healthcare. What's the strategy to speed up implementation?
Yeah, the idea is to create a try-first culture. This means setting up regulatory sandboxes or AI centers of excellence. Think of them as safe zones, backed by agencies like the FDA and SEC, where people can test AI tools quickly without facing immediate heavy regulation. They also plan domain-specific efforts, healthcare, energy, agriculture, led by NIST, to develop national standards and actually measure productivity gains from AI. And here's where it gets strategic. The DoD and the intelligence community will regularly track how fast competitors and adversaries are adopting AI and actively gather intel on foreign AI projects. It's a very practical push.
You mentioned earlier one of the core principles was a worker-first AI agenda. AI complementing work, creating new industries. The plan points to two April 2025 executive orders, one on AI education for youth, the other on skilled trade jobs. How does this worker-first idea translate into action?
This really doubles down on the human-centric angle. Several key actions here. Prioritizing AI skill development and education and workforce funding. That includes career and technical education, CTE, and apprenticeships. Treasury will issue guidance clarifying that many AI literacy programs might qualify for tax-free employer reimbursement under Section 132 of the tax code.
Oh, interesting. So employers could potentially pay for training tax-free for the employee?
Exactly. It's a direct financial nudge to boost workforce skills. Plus, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Census, and Bureau of Economic Analysis will study AI's impact on jobs. A big step is creating an AI workforce research hub under the Department of Labor and funding rapid retraining for people whose jobs are displaced by AI. It's quite comprehensive.
AI's potential in the physical world, autonomous drones, robotics is mentioned, along with making sure America leads in manufacturing this tech. What support is outlined for next-gen manufacturing?
Right, this is about bringing AI into the tangible economy. The plan talks about investing in foundational and translational manufacturing tech, using agencies like DoD, DOC, DOE, and NSF. It also outlines efforts, led by Commerce, to find and fix supply chain problems specifically for American robotics and drone manufacturing to boost domestic production.
The plan also gets into how AI will transform science itself, generating protein structures, forming hypotheses. Where does it see the biggest impact, and how will it invest in AI-enabled science?
It sees AI speeding up science by changing how research actually gets done. This means investing in automated, cloud-based labs across lots of fields: engineering, materials science, chemistry, biology, neuroscience. It also supports focused research organizations with long-term agreements to tackle really big, specific scientific challenges. And importantly, it incentivizes researchers to release high-quality public datasets by factoring that into grant reviews. Good data is fuel for AI, right?
Absolutely. High-quality data is a strategic asset, and the plan notes other countries are racing ahead. What's the strategy to build world-class scientific data sets here?
Crucial point. AI is only as good as its training data. So, several steps. The NSTC's Machine Learning and AI Subcommittee will recommend minimum data quality standards. OMB will issue rules for secure access to federal data. They'll set up secure compute environments within NSF and DOE for sensitive research, create an online portal for NSF's National Secure Data Service pilot. And here's a really unique one: exploring a whole genome sequencing program for life on federal lands to train future biological AI models.
Wow, sequencing everything on federal lands, that's ambitious. Imagine AI learning from Yellowstone's ecosystem.
Exactly. It can be transformative for biology.
So how does the plan ensure America stays the pioneer of fundamental AI breakthroughs, advancing the actual science of AI?
The priority is crystal clear. Significant investment in theoretical, computational, and experimental research. The aim is discovering totally new, game-changing AI paradigms. This focus on basic science will be baked into the upcoming National AI R&D Strategic Plan.
Now, the plan points out something critical. The inner workings of frontier AI are often poorly understood. This makes predictability hard, especially for national security. What's the approach to investing in AI interpretability, control, and robustness? This sounds vital.
Absolutely vital. Interpretability means understanding why an AI decides something. Control is ensuring humans can oversee and step in. Robustness is about resilience to errors or attacks. The plan launches a tech development program led by DARPA, known for big breakthroughs working with KI at DOC and NSF, specifically for this. These areas will also be a priority in that national AI R&D plan. And very practically, they mention an AI hackathon initiative led up by DoD and others. Think of it as stress testing AI systems to find weaknesses in transparency, control, security, effectiveness.
Okay, and given the need for rigorous evaluations, especially in regulated fields, how will the plan build an AI evaluations ecosystem?
Yeah, standardization is key here. NIST at DOC will publish guidelines for federal agencies on how to conduct evaluations. They'll support the science of how to measure AI models. They'll convene meetings to share best practices. And there will be big investments in AI testbeds via DOE and NSF. These are secure, real-world settings like a farm, a transport hub, a clinic to safely pilot AI. Plus, the NIST AI Consortium will bring experts together for collaborative measurement science.
And what about using AI to make the federal government itself more efficient, especially since OMB has apparently already cut some onerous rules from the last administration?
Right, bringing AI as benefits in-house. They plan to formalize the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer Council, CAIOC, for better coordination between agencies. Create a talent exchange program for specialized AI experts to move between agencies, a practical tool, an AI procurement toolbox managed by GSA to standardize how agencies buy AI. Other things include an advanced tech transfer program, mandating access and training for federal employees whose jobs could benefit from LLMs, and piloting AI to improve public services, especially from those high-interaction agencies.
Given AI's potential for DoD's warfighting and back-office stuff, how does the plan specifically drive AI adoption within defense?
DoD is definitely seen as a key adopter. The plan focuses on identifying the talent and skills DoD needs for AI, establishing an AI and autonomous systems virtual proving ground, like a digital sandbox for testing defense AI, developing a streamlined process to prioritize which DoD workflows get automated by AI, securing priority access to private compute resources in a national emergency, and growing senior military colleges into AI research and talent hubs, building AI into their curriculum, making sure the military has the tools and the people.
There's always that tension between spreading cutting-edge tech and national security, protecting against cyber threats, insider risks. How will the plan protect AI innovations, both commercial and government?
Yeah, it acknowledges that double-edged sword. The plan talks about strong collaboration with leading American AI developers led by DoD, DHS, and KISI at DOC. The goal is really to empower the private sector itself to actively protect its AI innovations from these kinds of threats, a proactive defense posture.
Okay, last point under this innovation pillar. Malicious deepfakes and the challenges for the legal system, like fake evidence. The plan mentions the Take It Down Act. What actions are recommended to combat synthetic media in courts?
This tackles the rise of sophisticated generated media head-on. NIST at DOC might develop its Guardians of Forensic Evidence Deepfake Evaluation Program into a formal guideline, basically, a standard scientific way to verify media authenticity. And the Department of Justice, DOJ, is tasked with issuing guidance for agencies on adopting a deepfake standard similar to a proposed change to federal rules of evidence, specifically Rule 901C.
Rule 901, that's about authenticating evidence in court, right?
Exactly. So adding a specific standard for deepfakes would give courts a clear framework to handle synthetic media used as evidence.
All right, let's shift gears. Pillar number 2, building American AI infrastructure. The plan really highlights something stark. AI is the first digital service challenging America to build vastly greater energy generation. That sounds like a monumental task.
Oh, it absolutely is. AI isn't just software. It needs massive physical stuff, chip factories, data centers, and critically, new energy sources. Huge amounts of energy. The plan points out, pretty bluntly, that current permitting systems make building this stuff quickly really hard. It does credit the previous Trump administration with some progress on reforming this, like NEPA updates and the Permit AI project.
So how exactly will permitting be streamlined for data centers, chip plants, energy infrastructure? This seems like a major bottleneck to fix.
It's foundational, yeah. Several key strategies here. Establishing new categorical exclusions under NEPA just for data center actions. That basically exempts them from long environmental reviews if they meet certain criteria, speeding things up.
Okay, a fast track for data centers.
Right. Also expanding the use of the FAST-T41 process that's an existing program to accelerate big infrastructure projects to cover all data center and related energy projects. They're exploring a nationwide Clean Water Act Section 404 permit specifically for data centers, and generally streamlining environmental permitting under the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and CERCLA, the Superfund law. Plus, making federal lands available for construction, but with security guardrails to stop adversaries from sneaking in sensitive tech, ensuring domestic AI compute is built with trusted American products. It's a real push on speeding up construction.
The plan also takes aim at the U.S. electric grid, saying it's stagnated since the 1970s. That's a pretty big statement. What's the strategy to build a grid that can actually keep up with AI?
It is a big statement, and the strategy is multi-pronged. First, stabilize the grid we have, stop critical power plants from retiring too early, use backup power effectively. Second, optimize what we've got, use advanced grid management tech, upgrade power lines. And third, prioritize connecting new, reliable, dispatchable power sources, things you can turn on when needed, like enhanced geothermal, nuclear fission, and even fusion down the line. It also mentions reforming power markets so the incentives align with stability, not just pure generation. It's a recognition that AI's energy hunger needs a fundamentally different grid.
America basically invented semiconductors. What's the plan for restoring manufacturing here, bringing chip making back home?
The plan emphasizes that the Commerce Department's revamped CHIPS program office, the one managing that CHIPS Act money, will focus hard on a strong return on investment for the American taxpayer and removing what it calls extraneous policy requirements. It also aims to streamline regulations and speed up the use of AI tools within the semiconductor manufacturing process itself, making domestic production more efficient.
AI will handle incredibly sensitive government data. That demands serious security. How does the plan propose building high-security data centers for the military and intelligence agencies?
Right, this is all about data integrity and national security. The plan calls for creating new technical standards specifically for high-security AI data centers. This would be a collaboration between DoD, the IC, NSC, NIST, and industry. It also pushes agencies to adopt classified compute environments more broadly, allowing secure AI work on the nation's most sensitive data at scale.
Building all this infrastructure data centers, grids needs a workforce, electricians, HVAC techs, IT specialists. How does the plan tackle training these skilled workers?
Critical piece, you're right. The physical infrastructure needs people. So a national initiative led by Labor and Commerce to identify the key jobs needed for AI infrastructure and create national skill frameworks for them. This involves supporting industry-led training programs, working with state and local governments, expanding early career exposure and pre-apprenticeships, updating CTE programs, and boosting registered apprenticeships in these crucial fields. DOE will also expand hands-on training at national labs. It's about building that pipeline.
AI impacts both cyber offense and defense. Protecting critical infrastructure becomes even more vital. How will the plan bolster cybersecurity for this infrastructure?
This is about defending against new AI-powered cyber threats. The plan outlines setting up an AI Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or AI-ISAC, led by DHS. The idea is to share AI-specific security threat info across critical sectors like energy, transport, etc. It also includes issuing guidance on AI vulnerabilities and ensuring federal agencies share known vulnerabilities with the private sector. And it really stresses that AI used in safety-critical areas must be secure by design, robust, and resilient. Security built in from the start.
And on that note, AI systems can be vulnerable to attacks like data poisoning or privacy breaches. How does the plan promote secure by design AI tech and applications more broadly?
Yeah, proactive security. The plan talks about refining DoD's existing responsible AI and generative AI frameworks and toolkits. These are their guidelines for building and using AI ethically and securely. And the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, will publish an IC standard on AI assurance. That sets the bar for trustworthiness and reliability for AI used by intelligence agencies.
What about when things go wrong? Planning for AI system failures to minimize disruption. How does the plan mature federal capacity for AI incident response?
Preparing for failure is key, especially with critical services. NIST will partner with the AI and cybersecurity industries to bake AI considerations into incident response standards and tools, like flyaway kits.
Flyaway kits, like a grab-and-go response kit for AI problems.
Kind of, yeah. Pre-packed resources for response teams to quickly tackle an AI system failure in a critical service, minimizing downtime. It also calls for modifying CISA's, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's, incident response playbooks to specifically include AI issues, ensuring a fast, effective response.
Okay, let's move to the third and final pillar, leading in international AI diplomacy and security. The emphasis here is on promoting American AI globally. What's the thinking?
That's a really critical point. The plan states clearly the U.S. has to drive adoption of its entire AI stack, worldwide hardware, models, software, applications, standards. The explicit goal: prevent allies from turning to rivals, specifically mentioning China, for their AI needs. It's about leveraging America's current lead into a lasting global alliance, making American AI the de facto global standard.
So how does the U.S. plan to actually meet that global demand? How do we export American AI?
It's an interesting structure they propose, establishing a program within the Commerce Department focused on gathering proposals from industry groups consortia for full-stack AI export packages, basically comprehensive bundles of American AI tech and services. Once these consortia are picked, agencies like the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, the Export-Import Bank, and the State Department will coordinate with Commerce to facilitate these deals, making sure they meet U.S. security standards. It's a coordinated national sales pitch, essentially.
Now, lots of international bodies are working on AI governance frameworks. The plan notes some are influenced by Chinese companies with different values. How will the U.S. counter that influence?
The plan is pretty blunt here. It says the U.S., led by state and commerce, will vigorously push for international AI governance that promotes innovation and reflects American values. It specifically aims to counter authoritarian influence and efforts that promote burdensome regulations or, quote, vague codes of conduct that promote cultural agendas that do not align with American values. It's about ensuring global AI norms align with democratic principles, not authoritarian ones.
Advanced AI chips are crucial for economies and militaries. Denying them to adversaries is key. How will the plan strengthen export controls on AI compute?
This is about keeping critical tech out of the wrong hands. The plan talks about exploring new and existing location verification features on advanced chips to make sure they don't end up in countries of concern, like a digital passport for the chip.
A geofence for chips.
Sort of, yeah. Plus, a new effort led by Commerce, collaborating with the intelligence community, on global chip export control enforcement. That includes monitoring new tech developments to close any loopholes.
Speaking of loopholes, the U.S. and allies have near monopolies on some key semiconductor manufacturing components. How does the plan intend to plug gaps in existing export controls there?
Right now, controls often target the big, finished manufacturing systems. The plan says they'll develop new export controls on semiconductor manufacturing subsystems. So, closing gaps by controlling smaller but still critical components and specialized equipment used throughout the chip-making process, tightening the net.
And what about getting allies on the same page? It's vital they follow U.S. controls to prevent adversaries from getting tech via third countries, that backfilling problem.
Absolutely. Backfilling undermines the whole strategy. So the plan involves developing, implementing, and sharing info on complementary technology protection measures with allies. This even extends to basic research in universities, where knowledge could leak. It includes developing a technology diplomacy strategic plan for an AI global alliance to ensure allies aren't supplying adversaries with tech the U.S. controls, and expanding plurilateral controls agreements among a smaller group of key nations, which can be faster and more targeted than big multilateral treaties.
The most powerful AI models bring new national security risks: cyber attacks, CBRNE weapons potential. Since the U.S. leads, we get a preview of what adversaries might eventually have. How will the government evaluate these frontier model risks?
Yeah, that dual-use aspect is stark with cutting-edge AI. The plan describes evaluating frontier AI systems for national security risks, working closely with the developers, basically, stress testing them. We'll also actively assess adversary AI systems for vulnerabilities and any signs of foreign manipulation, like hidden backdoors. It prioritizes recruiting top AI researchers into federal agencies to ensure the government understands these systems, and building and maintaining robust national security-focused AI evaluations.
Finally, AI and biology. Huge potential for cures, but also the risk of creating dangerous pathogens. How does the plan invest in biosecurity to manage this dual-use risk?
This is definitely high stakes, enormous benefits, but also significant risks. The plan outlines a multi-layered approach. First, requiring all institutions getting federal research funds to use nucleic acid synthesis tools, the DNA printers and providers that have strong screening for dangerous sequences, and verify their customers.
So checks to make sure people aren't ordering up smallpox DNA. Essentially, yes. Preventing misuse by unauthorized or malicious actors. Additionally, it aims to create a mechanism, led by OSTP, for these synthesis providers to share data securely, helping them spot fraudulent or suspicious customers across the board. A coordinated defense.
So we've just covered a lot in this deep dive into America's AI Action Plan. It's a truly comprehensive roadmap aiming for U.S. global dominance in AI innovation, infrastructure, diplomacy. And that stated goal, as we heard, is huge, ushering in an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once.
Given just how broad and ambitious this whole plan is, it really makes you think, doesn't it? So maybe a final thought for you, the listener. Considering everything we've discussed, what part of this plan do you think will be the absolute hardest to actually pull off successfully, and why? Is it the massive infrastructure build, managing the regulations just right, or that complex web of international diplomacy and controls? That's a great question to mull over. There are so many moving parts here. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of the strategy outlined. Thank you for joining us today, and we definitely encourage you to keep exploring these incredibly complex and impactful topics.